It's like the party. No, it doesn't for you.
You know, and you're about speed, we even talk about.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to the District One Breakfast for August. I was just waiting on us to go live. See some new faces. So I'm Brandon Johnson, council member for District One. Today, I dropped the ball a little bit. So I'm supposed to invite all the folks that I had appointed. That email was drafted and I thought it was sent and it was saved in my drafts. So, 22 people that I wanted to invite here. I didn't want to do it last minute, so I will try to get them back. We do have a good presentation today from our library staff. And since Darrell is here, he is one of the violence interrupters. Might give him a minute to speak. I like putting him on the spot. But other than that, after the presentation, there are a few things I definitely want to talk to everybody about. And then let you know about next month. I did confirm next month's guest. I have that. We have the email. So next month, Dante Martin, our assistant city manager, will be here to talk about his job and everything he does. I know he's gonna hear about this, so before he gets here, write down like 100 questions you have for him. Dante is very short and to the point. I wanna make sure he talks for 2 hours. You're having a hard time, but Dante would be great. But we do have some exciting things to see at the Miami Library. So we'll get started with that, and then if Darrell wants to give him a few moments, then I got some things to definitely talk to y'all about. So pass it over to Jamie and the library team. Parker's here. Parker is at everything.
I'll just stand up and introduce myself. I'm Jamie Nix, the Director of Libraries. I think we've got an incredible opportunity to take another step at enhancing services at Angelo. We were talking about before, like, City Council invested in libraries about a decade ago. We got our new advanced learning library. It's wonderful. If you haven't been there, we invite you to come down. But also it enacted a branch master plan. And so we're at the stages of seeing how this is going to manifest at Angelo. In the meantime, we've eliminated overdue fines. We've expanded hours. We've added a professional librarian. These are just, that's the first steps of what we hope to actually really improve and enhance the utilization of this space. I was doing a little data dig just to look and see what's going on in the immediate area, specifically for a question that Dante had for me. And only 22 kids, 12 and younger, own a library card in the 67214 zip code. We have a lot of residents. We can fix that, exactly. And so I think Hutton's gonna show you a little bit about how we're envisioning creating a space that people are gonna wanna come to always. And we can talk about, because it's being utilized so much, goodness, the demand has been up, we need to open more, right? And how do we do that? I think it's a really important time for you as community members to be part of the conversation, because this is a really important asset resource in the community. I think we are open Tuesday through Saturday now, 1 to 8, 1 to 6, which is an increase from where we were. It's a start. Hopefully, we'll see some loveliness, and we want your ideas. I'm gonna shut up and give it to you. Sorry, I'm just excited.
Start on this slide or?
Yeah, this is good. What else did you have? This, oh yeah, let's start here.
Sorry.
Sorry. Reply to. Yes.
Yeah, this one's more exciting.
Well, good morning. My name is Emily Taylor.
I'm Allison Raccoon.
We're with Hutton, so I'm an architect. Allison's an interior designer, and we were selected about a year ago now to lead the design and construction process for 3 branches of the Wichita libraries. That's the Rockwell branch. So we were at the DAB meeting here a few weeks ago to talk about the Rockwell branch, and the Angelo branch, and then also the Alfred branch, which is on South Meridian in District 4. Today, we're going to talk about what's going on at Angelo. So the status of kind of all of these is Rockwell's groundbreaking was a couple of weeks ago. You'll start to see activity there. So that one's underway. And then we're finishing up design for Angelo and Alfred here in about the next month. So there's a lot of public engagement opportunities happening right now, like this one, but also some that some digital stuff online that I might let you weigh in on, like give the little plug at the end. So, okay. If you go to the next one. District 1 has 2 branches, like I said. We've got the Rockwell branch, which is right off of Edgemore Park. And then obviously the Angelo branch at 21st and Hillside. It's one of the smallest branches, or is the smallest branch in the library system. And some of its focuses, or the focuses that we're working towards, like from the library master plan. A lot of people hear libraries and we still think you go there and you kind of browse and take a book home. But the function of libraries is actually much more broad. And some of the focuses of this branch in particular are on public computing, access to internet, and supported computing in particular, right? Like that you come, and if you need help using the internet, accessing whatever you're there for, they do spend a lot of time on that, and creating programming, and some of the things that we're here are specific to like food, education. So more than just come and check out books, and the remodel efforts are supporting that. Like libraries historically are big buildings filled with books, and so over time as we learn what their functions really best are, that's what some of these changes are going to support. Go to the next one. Existing building today, it was built in the early 2000s. Looks like this mural was added not too long after it opened. But otherwise, there have been basically no changes to the branch since it opened originally. And I would say one of the, another trigger for this is the images on the previous slide is like, does this really reflect the community that it serves? It's a little bit stale or generic. And that's common with a lot of civic architecture, but obviously today, while we're making efforts to remodel or bring it to meet the needs of the community, like actually changing the space to feel like the community that it serves. So functionally, this is what it looks like today. There's you come in on the east side of the building, there's a foyer, there's a program, a little meeting room. Come in and you enter right into basically a room full of stacks. And then when you turn to the left, there's a little teeny service desk in the corner that's kind of hard to find actually. And then computing was, I don't want to say haphazardly added, but What?
It was efficiently added.
Yeah, it's really added. I mean, again, a really common trend with libraries is like that's computing has become a really important function of what they do. So how we're gonna set up and everything is just sort of make do. So that's the state that this branch is into. We'll go to the next one. The plans for changes, a lot of it is furniture oriented, but the number one thing is getting the front desk so that it's actually really centralized to the space. So you'll walk in, and it's right in front of you. They'll have way more space to actually do their jobs, which is like Parker is screaming ear to ear. The computing will be located right behind it, so the relationship between those two is really important, making sure that it's really easy to get help, but also the number of staff there right now. If it's just a couple of people at a time, they really, they are master multitaskers, so need to be able to help people with computing, also checking in, and then kind of keep eyes on the whole space at the same time. So the wall that you see behind the desk will not be fully solid, so they can have really access behind them and all the way around. And you'll see some cool stuff with that in the when we talk about art.
It looks much bigger in this picture. It's not changing size though.
There is a small addition happening on the west side. So the police station's over here, and the library property, there's enough space to expand from about 15 feet to the west. We're calling this sunroom. It's labeled here as a reading room, but it will be an addition that essentially will be basically looks like the rest of the building from the exterior, but it's much more open with windows, and they've got lots of fun ideas about how to use it. And then furniture, just reorienting the way, like the stacks in there are really tall. You go in and it's like 6 feet of, it's a small space, and then it's just full of shelves you can't see over. So just changing the furniture that's in there, and the types and the layout, making it a little bit more intentional, having a very like specific and obvious place for families. It will feel much bigger too without really adding much space to it. And then a couple of the other functional changes. Right now, the program room is totally solid on one side, so they basically can't, other than when there's a specific like meeting, group activity happening, they can't use it because you can't see in. So we're going to open up that wall so that they can let the community use that room throughout the day too. So this is the west side of the building that the addition will look like. We take these slides to design council. They so maybe we won't even notice that this looks any different. That's from the outside it looks like this.
Is there a reason why there's, well, I suppose there is a reason why there's no windows.
But so this is all existing.
Yeah,
Those two sides are existing, and then this is the new addition.
yeah.
Right now, there's just a window, and so we're opening the framing of the window to create a reading room. And then there are going to be windows on either side of the reading room.
Yeah, on the two ends. Yeah. But I say these walls still have, like, these walls have stacks on them today. They'll continue to have stacks in the future, like the perimeter of the.
Just, that's one of the things that makes the advanced learning library so nice, is all the light. That
Mhm.
All of the lighting is gonna be changed, and it's going to look amazing.
Yeah, so and that's true at all,
The
that's
lighting
true at
is-
all three branches. There's funding set aside specifically, and it's for us, it feels very outdated to even say that like a lot of these still have like fluorescent lights in them. That's like unfathomable in new construction today, and energy efficiency of that is just kind of shocking. So all three branches will have basically all the light fixtures replaced, upgraded to LED, and you will be very surprised by just taking these out and putting more contemporary lights in place at how much better it feels.
So a big portion of the site is the interior design element and also the art element that we will be bringing in. So our inspiration for the interior was the new mural that was added in 2021 and the quote that accompanied it. I'll just read it so we can all be on the same page. It says, we all should know that diversity makes for a rich tapestry, and we must understand that the threads of the tapestry are equal in value no matter what their color. And that's a Maya Angelou quote, obviously. But we really honed in on the tapestry element of that quote and how we can bring not only the colors of the mural inside, but also the tapestry element inside. So our guiding principle for the inside is tapestry and how that can lead into the inside. So you'll see some of this, there's existing artwork inside the space. Those are the bottom two left images. And then how to bring in that through new artwork and through textures in the library, through lighting. You'll see some of that, and that's evolving and still in progress that we're working on. So really helping bring the precedent that was set in 2021, new mural inside and outside.
That kind of the mural you're gonna have inside?
No, so that bottom right image that you see, we used as color inspiration for the inside, and you'll see, we'll go over the art RFP. The art we're going to have behind the reception desk, Emily mentioned, there is a knee wall, so it's about 4 feet tall. And then between the wall, the top of the wall and the ceiling are glass panels that we have, as part of the call for artists, we're commissioning a vinyl graphic that's translucent that will go on there, that will be inspired. The direction we have given is that it needs to be inspired by the life, work, and or activism of Maya Angelou in her lifetime. And so walk into the library and you'll see there's a 3D view. That's what you're going to see when you walk in. There'll be a lot of color to bring that element inside. So we're giving that direction, and we gave a suggested color palette because we have worked hard on the color palette for the inside and we want it to be cohesive, but really want the artists to guide that, and the artists will spend some time engaging with the community ahead of that mural. There will be a good community engagement.
So the images on the left here, these are all images that are already in the space, and there's actually one other portrait of her that we really liked. There's already cohesion going on in the old color palette, this like the super high contrast. The portrait of her is really high contrast image. So there's already lots of stuff that's like working in this direction that we didn't even build up. And then everything on the right is kind of inspiration images that spoke to us, like helped us to connect to this idea of wovenness. But really it'll be artists that get to like take this.
Did you have an additional comment on that?
Well, I like that you're showing the artist inspiration of the name of the artist, Maya Angelou. I think it should be just a portion of what you see. It's kind of like coming into this room. Once I walk through this room, I look at the things on the wall. I've seen them once. Then I read them. I know no more. You know, I'm just good. But if you're going to make this place in here more interactive, more participatory here from the community in here, I think you're going to have to do some more things. And some of that you want to show her because it ties into all the outside and the name and all of that. But maybe you need to have some, how they call it, scrolling videos that kind of show a little bit about the community and the history and the stuff of this people, so people can actually take their kids over there and say, hey, you haven't seen this, but it scrolls across here and it tells you what this community and why it's in here. Just a scrolling thing. Maybe that needs to be in your reading more so in here, that they have that they can actually go in there and take kids and show them the community in here, because this has a lot of history. We got most of that history right now. A lot of it has been developed in archival in Wichita State's library, which we don't go. And it's so communicative right here in the place in which you be. The biggest room you have is the program room in there, and you charge to use it. You charge to use the room. And so if you want to make it more interactive, I'm telling you, you've got so many communities, and even the one in which this library resides in here, the neighborhood associations defunct. They really don't have no place to meet. You know, and they don't want to pay money. It used to meet at the police station, let them use that, and then that stopped. And so a lot of the neighborhood associations and places that they meet now are becoming very limited in here. So they have no place. So you want it to be a lot of place where there's foot traffic coming in, because if they're able to see some of this scrolling history across that, and maybe you interject some of the more bringing it forward type things in here, that gives you, and that's going to change. That history is going to change. The dynamics is going to change. You want always to see what's on the forefront as well as your history. But once you've seen the paintings on the walls, that's all. It's done deal.
Instead of having it feel like 24, have it feel like 2024 and
Yeah,
beyond.
because you want to see that, you know, these are, you put the year in mind when she was born and lived and stuff in here, that's history, that's museum. We should be able to see a lot of that at our cultural centers, our Kansas African American Museum, but I want this to be a place where you come in and you actually make it a gathering spot. That program room should be free for neighborhood association meetings, organizational meetings in here, that you start to draw in foot traffic just because they're coming to meet. Prior to the meetings, after the meetings, they always want to see what's new, what's coming in there. So you need to make it more interactive, even if it's a small space. Okay?
That's really good. I agree with that. Can I ask them real quick? Like, I think you already said it, but there are so many great people and a diverse group of people, activists and leaders in the Wichita and in the community where that library sits. And to like, you know, we're always taught about these people who have lived before us, and that's where our history, like that's where we stay in school and everywhere, right? We just stay right there as far as Black history or leadership and the contribution to our country. But there are this gentleman here, Brandon, there are so many people who are still living or doing things or doing great things and have beautiful, wonderful, powerful quotes.
Oh, gosh.
So like digging into the community and finding out who those people are, I think that would be dope and really inspirational to the future. Cause it's like, oh, that, I know that, like, I literally know who that person is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And maybe keep them switching them out.
Yeah.
So this features new person every month or something.
If that reading room was even your video room where you
Right.
could actually go in there and watch that, you know.
We can easily do that with technology and tools that we already have. We just need to meet up and record some interviews, I think. Honestly, yeah, yeah.
You should make it
So-
for.
One of the things, just to, I don't want to derail us too far, but the library actually with our, we have an app, a mobile app, Pocket Sites, where the Chester I. Lewis Park information and history, we collaborated on that project. I think we have our oral history space at the Advanced Learning Library, and we have a local historian. We have, I don't know, let's do it. Let's just do it. Yeah, sorry, great idea.
I feel like, you know, I agree with keeping, since it's the Angela Library, the artwork being specific. But as everyone else is saying, make this a neighborhood. I work at the Advanced Learning Center. So make this a neighborhood advanced learning center, you know, that is centric to this neighborhood, and that's where all your technology would come about, you know. It goes beyond the artwork. But you know, the big wall that's there when the children's library at the Advanced Learning Center is the size of Angela.
It's bigger.
You know,
Yeah.
but I agree with everyone here, you know, but I was president of Power Neighborhood Association, and we did meet there on Tuesdays. But
If you look at that map around Wichita State between Fairmount, between here and all of those that go to the bypass and over to 9th Street in here, there are tons of neighborhood associations. Most of those are they're not meeting.
well, what I'm saying is it was always available, but there, you know, there needs to be like a marketing campaign. But I'm excited that now, you know, it is time, you know, to move us into the 21st century. And I was even thinking before I even came here, knew about this, about bringing book club, because I work in the interlibrary loan. And so I'm touching books all the time that, you know, and I'm seeing what people are reading and things like that. So we need to bring programming absolutely into this library.
That was one of the programs.
You
that we
have-
talked about.
You have so much, I mean, so much potential to be a magnet in this community, and even in the small space that you are. I talk about make that little program room available for free, kind of like these, for people to actually come and meet. That's kind of like going to church. You go 4 times a month, you know, and you got some of the same congregations, some visitors, some new. But once they start telling you what's going on at your church and your thing, and here people start to visit and show up. If you're able to show them in here that here's a little bit of history, here's a little bit more current in here. And you know, most of our neighborhood association, just old people just like us
Yeah.
in here. We come on a regular basis. We get very few of our young people coming, but you will be able to energize them when they come there, and he's right, see people who look like them, they actually say, I know him. That artwork comes from my school, and I know those kids. And even some of your basketball, I mean, you can make this a network center.
One thing I would like to interject is I would like to see a local artist, because there's so much talent here, rather than bringing somebody from outside to be commissioned for this work. I think that,
There's a couple things already in the works, we'll show you.
okay.
I know.
Sorry.
This is a great.
So this is how, in actuality, the canvas will be created for all of the things that will happen inside. So, you will see some of the colors that we're bringing in, so carpeting, the main field carpet, textural carpet, again, to bring in that tapestry element, just how do we translate that literally into carpet?
You are really hard to hear. Could you use the mic, maybe?
The mic's not plugged up and it does not work.
Okay, no, I will project, I'll work on it. Just, give me a hand signal if you can't hear me, okay? So yeah. Bringing in, actually translating that concept into actual materials on the inside, the.
Oh. I think he's suggesting I move.
The main carpet, will be a nice texture that is a canvas for everything that will come on top of it. I mean, we can provide the background, but what will be layered on top of it is the important part. The accent carpet will be the main carpet right when you walk into the space, leading you visually to the front desk, and is a really modeled dyed carpet. And then bringing in, just being subtle on our inspiration for the color. So the main field color will be a neutral color that all this art will pop off of, and then a few accents to really just set it off, that bring in the colors from the mural outside. And then the reception desk, again, an element that will pop out and support the function there. All of these materials are very durable and will keep the library looking really nice for a long time. So commercial grade. And then this is possible color inspiration for the mural that we put up there, just to show how it would bring in more color to the space and really set off on this canvas that we're creating. Any questions on that?
I think you're looking great. One more thing.
Yeah.
One more thing. Now, and this is about your exterior a little bit, is your, but you have so much wall space, exterior, no windows, no nothing in this here. How easy with your technology would it be, almost like have a billboard on the outside with a camera that projects up against the side, to the side of the building? And here big enough where you can actually start showing some of the content that you're rotating in and out. Even things that are coming up in the community, because our community people, they're always trying to figure out how to let them know what's going on in our community. So maybe you need to be that information system, those blurbs about this is coming up, and these things here. It doesn't have to be long, just a little blurb. But you want to be able to put that on that screen, put a camera out there right next to the police station. Nobody's gonna take it.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Our stuff goes down.
Yeah, make the picture outside next to the police station. Yeah, let them see from the outside what's so excellent inside. This is always evolving.
Yeah.
So that they come in there and see. Every time I come to a neighborhood meeting, I look and see that. I said, hey, let me find that. And the people you're talking about, they may be on the shelves that we're talking.
So you're suggesting like an LED screen?
Yeah,
that
yeah, just an
everybody
LED
hates.
screen to shoot it up against,
Yeah.
like go to the drive-in, you know, just bam.
Not too bright, not too bright.
Right, you'll see it, leave that fire station over there. Okay, all right.
So we'll get, so we have, there's sort of two art pieces highlighted here, and then we have one other development. If we had to give these slides to the design council, like we guys have to go, design's still ongoing, so we'll get a few more ideas since then that will add on to that. If you want to, or if you want to give the overview to this, and then tell when you want to.
So this is the RFQ, the call for artists that will go out for all three branches. We're doing it all at the same. Project within each branch has a number. So you'll see that as we go through it. So this will go before design council on Monday, and then we'll go out for the call for artists. And what you see here is just kind of the information, the background of how the library is evolving, lots of information to tell the artists what the library system is doing as a whole, but then also within each branch. So you'll see as you go through here. So every page, can we just send it?
Oh, it's like, yeah.
So that's Rockwell. And then this,
Back, one more. There you go.
yeah, so this is the page, the information, the section about the Angelo branch. So we gave some history of the branch, which is what you see on the library's website also. And then some information about the building and kind of the recent developments of the building with the mural, and then the upcoming additions and remodel and what will take place there. So this is orienting the artist to where the floor plan is, so you can see where that one is, that's the first item, that's the translucent vinyl graphics that we were talking about, and then two will type signage letters that we'll talk about there. So this is that perspective, so this is if you're standing right at the front doors looking in, this is what you will see with the front desk right here, so self-checkout on the left side, and then the book return on the right side, and then the 2 points of service are in the middle. And part of that is to reduce, right now, there's a lot of cross traffic, so that's to keep separate lines of traffic in their lanes, and that will help everybody reduce congestion and know where they're going. You can see that knee wall behind there ending right. So right here are the two locations for the potential wall mural, or the potential vinyl graphic. And then as you look open to beyond, this is on access with the sunroom behind there. So you will see into that sunroom, you will see the light. One new development that came this week is we're looking to put a light fixture in there that will come down and can be enhanced by members of the community and have that be a community art project. That light fixture will be visible right when you walk in to the main access, and then it will be visible from the outside through the sunroom. So it really has the potential.
Kind of like a Cholula.
Right?
Yes.
But fiber arts and
Yeah.
community creative.
Yeah, so we did a project, the thought behind this, we did a project like this similar, recently for a different industry, they make PVC pipe. Cool light fixtures can be really expensive, and not necessarily in the budget for this project. But this PVC pipe plant that we did, we basically bought a simple, like a globe fixture. And then our team and then some of the people that worked at that company figured out how to like cut a big section of PVC pipe and hang it and make basically the shade for it. And we have a similar idea. When we say recent, we met on Thursday. We have a similar thought on how do we engage members of the community or find somebody in the community that can create some kind of shade for a big cool fixture that can tie into this like fiber arts woven theme. But way more cost effective and much more like relevant to the space than just us finding some woven fixtures.
$600.
Yes, yeah. And there are some woven, I mean, what you don't see here is there's a couple light fixtures that will hang here that have some of this woven texture to it. So the theme is already there. But letting that's sort of like one more art piece that's not in the RFP that I think Parker's gonna get to figure out how to rally the community or find the right person or people to create that.
Kind of question I had. Hi, I'm new to the area. My name's Keston, my partner and I just moved here. So when you do the RFP, how are you, they have some great ideas. So when you do the RFP, how are you gonna advertise it? Like say, hey, these are the artists that we want to have. You're gonna have like a contest, like, hey, the winner of this might go on this, be on this wall. Like, how are you all gonna advertise this RFP to get the local artists? That's my question, yeah.
Okay, and so kind of circles back around. I just went last night to Mulberry Art Gallery down there in the Revolution. He got the little canister place up there, pretty small, but he tries to introduce a lot of new artist pieces to do there. But most of his, and I asked him, and then he has a little across the street. I guess it was for young artists and kids that wanted to learn how to do this here. He tries to bring them over there and pair them up, says with artists in town and stuff here, and they kind of work out of there and do different things. So, but his space is small, his communications, to me, it's limited. You know, when I talk about limited, social media, Facebook and stuff, you're only reaching a target. Most of these people in here, we might get Facebook or use it here, but it's not our main source of information. We just haphazardly catch stuff.
So did you say in this proposal that is the RFP?
Yeah, so this is the RFQ that will go out. It will go out on a platform called Cafe. It's what the city uses to solicit artwork. We're working with Jana Irwin with the city, that art
So
director.
it's up to us to let local artists know.
Well,
So just to interject, Anthony Joyner knows about Cafe. He works with a lot of our local artists. They know about this as well as Ella Bucket. It will get out to them. We've been working really hard over the last 3 years to engage local artists and let them know about this opportunity. So when this is posted, they all will know about it. They can apply if they choose.
That's cool. Thank you.
So that's good, but also use your outside mural here to say, on that little flash entertainment, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, that we're looking for new artists. Because I guarantee you, when I walk up there and I see that, and if I know of any myself personally, I'll say, hey, you might want to see if you connect with them somehow. You know, so you want as many people talking about this in here as trying to send it out to them.
It's a great lead into the sign we were talking about.
Yeah, so.
Okay, here we go.
Did you want to say something?
Just quickly, that one of the ideas that we had when we first learned about the renovation is to form a partnership with Mulberry Gallery to have a rotating art display.
And I think as an extension of that, to your point of when they're put on the wall, we'll rotate, great, but we only have finite wall space. How might we be able to showcase even more? We are planning inside, like a display, the project, and it.
And the people who meet in that free meeting space that will talk about. Your thing. Yeah.
Okay, no, sorry. Okay, so are we good on this?
Yep.
Okay,
You did
so
great.
the second piece that we alluded to is there has recently been funding approved for 36-inch tall letters on the outside that will say Maya Angelou Library. And so those will go, you can see this is the drive-in, the view of 21st Street. They will go right here for street signage, and there will be the direction that is given to the artists that they need to be in the colors of the design. So that will be up for interpretation, community input, and really be, you will not be able
Well,
to
you
see
can make it competitive now. I like your idea of a sign out there with the Divine Nine and all of those in here. You want to make it really competitive because that you want your organization seen up there. So that rotational thing needs to be almost like an advertisement bureau that I drive down, bypass or anywhere else to see. Bam, this is going on, or this entertainer's coming to the casino, or this whatever it is, that what's gonna catch their eye is that, hey, this is gonna be
That sign's gonna.
inside. That sign is a very valuable thing. But you can't put it next to the building, make that outside sign a rotational thing that advertises what you have inside and what's coming. And for those organizations, maybe even a blurb about what they're doing here, just a visual thing. You want them to to say, hey, let's advertise to them. We're not able to get it out. We struggle with our communication between voice, communication channels in here of what we read and see. But we drive up and down the streets more times than not. So you want that to be a visual thing. With,
You guys are interior, right? That's her call. So these discussions, that information is being captured somehow, other than what they're grabbing in your mind right now?
Well, I guess I'd say this a couple ways. There's some formal pieces that are happening that are like in Hutton's control, in the scope of the construction project, right? We're going to do, we're gonna add on the sunroof. We're going to do a facelift. There will be new materials. That's a piece for sure that we need, support of the design council. We want your feedback on. We are organizing, we're administering the art selection. So there's these two little pieces, right? The mural behind and the big thing outside. That's the formal stuff that's part of this project. The rest of it, I mean, I think there's lots of stuff here that's like, Parker and Jamie and they can take this and add the next layer so that the library continues to be very specific, like very, like rather than just, hey, we're gonna do a building project at one point in time, how do we continue to make sure that it says, that there's like an extra layer of stuff, right? I hear the living history, the rotating art, we'll probably, I think we're gonna end up working out this lampshade thing together probably. But there's a lot of it that is kind of, there's building projects, there's two formal art pieces, and there's a lot of it that's beyond the conversation today about the. At Parker's, at his, it's like flipping. If you wanna know where the notes are going, it's in Parker's book over there. So, so two pieces, we're capturing this for building project, but also lots of stuff that the library is gonna do to continue to support this for the future.
Right, and I think to that point, we have a Wichita Public Library Foundation that helps support kind of that extra space, which is kind of what we're talking about here, is like the real, like this would make the project excellent, right? And we have a capital campaign that's underway for our branch remodels in total. We're about halfway there, but it sounds like its goal needs to keep growing. And I'll be talking with the library's foundation too about community interests and how we might be able to seek some donors or special funding.
And I haven't been contacted since my foundation made a contribution to the library. And, you know, why don't I know about that capital campaign before you just?
I just told you and I shouldn't have. Because we're not halfway there and industry says don't talk about it until you're halfway there. We're underway with a capital campaign, but we will be.
I would like to
very
make a
soon.
donation to it. I gotta know about it.
Okay, we will be very loud and vocal about it in like probably a couple of months. We'll get enough fund. We're at like 900,000. We have to get another 100,000 to be able to go public with it, despite me going public with it now.
On Facebook.
Yeah. Oh, shoot, that's out of the bag, okay.
One of the one I was sprinkling here, but if you go back a couple pages to where it was like this is a new development also, that there is some funding that has been found to improve the food related programming. So we're working on right now, like there's the arch out here on the front up against 21st Street. Basically, you drive by it, nobody sees it, nobody notices. That's one reason for the addition of the lettering signage as part of the art. But also it just kind of goes to nowhere. Like there's this big arch and cool signs, and then you go down the stairs and it's like it's the side of the building. You can't enter there. Like there's a mural there, but there's not really anything to engage with at that scale. So developing this corner of the building into some food related, like community garden type programming. Also one that's come up just in the last week or so that we be excited to show you when there's more to share there.
Come up in the community garden in that space.
Yeah.
Raised beds.
Absolutely. Raised beds, yeah.
Yeah, it was just a suggestion.
Garden with a garden.
So one of the things that is also in development in the neighborhood is the Storytime Village. new early learning center. It's about a mile and a half away from this little library branch. We have a partnership with them. They have a learning kitchen that they are planning to install in that Storytime Village, which is intended to serve like the littles in our community, so like 0 to 8 and their families. What we wanted to do is to partner with them in a couple of different ways and talking with them. With their learning kitchen, they need to have food and produce to be able to learn
Right
with.
over there.
And so we'll grow it at the library and we'll provide it to our neighbors and we'll be teaching about sustainability. There will be rain catching, some learning outside actually about sustainability. It helps create connection to collections, learning, spark. I'm going down rabbit trails, but I think that also with Storytime Village, we're experimenting with how can we expand the access to collection. So we plan to put at Storytime Village early learning books that can check out. So an outlet library collection. So we're trying to make it more impactful despite its challenges of space and
You're in an
place.
area that it's almost like a district now. I'm saying, when I said district, you talk about Storytime Village and you're less than that. Storytime Village will be there at Holyoke and 16th Street, so you ain't even a mile. You can walk from one to the other.
Right.
And so, but I tell you, if you're gonna have that, I'm not, community gardens in here, I think most people in here, they have their own personal gardens at home. They ain't trying
I don't have a yard.
Okay,
but
community gardening, advanced learning,
Flipped.
how to grow food, you know, it's all about sustainable neighborhoods and I'm all for that, you know, we need to. Well, that's.
I think,
I love it.
I think the majority of the people who will be participating and going to this library will be happy to have that. And they're happy to have the community gardens that are sprouting up. And there are activists who are pushing for sustainability and more outdoor like types of access to that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I promise you that the young families and the new families and even some of the older families that are in and around this area will be happy to have it and enjoy it and address the food desert that they currently live in.
The Airwater is gonna be putting in the solar powered Wi-Fi benches. Would that be incorporated over there?
She asked about the Wi-Fi bench installation and if that's a part of any of these library.
Oh my goodness. So something even better is gonna happen. I think in the next, ideally, 6 months, we'll be able to put access points on the building to project Wi-Fi on library grounds. So you'll be able to come around in the next 6 months and get full-on access.
Nice.
We have 9 more benches that we're installing too as part of that project throughout the community. We haven't selected where those are going, but they'll be far enough away from libraries. So every library in Wichita, you'll be able to get Wi-Fi. Just pull up to the parking lot. If it's like 2 o'clock in the morning and you want to renew something or I don't know, order your Amazon, you can do that. But yeah. So that's even sooner than your
I would like to add to your point from earlier. There was some discussion of forming partnerships with food banks, food pantries in the area and sharing some of our surplus and providing gardening, food, nutrition programs in collaboration with the K-State Extension Center.
I get it, the part about education, you're too small a space there for a community garden.
Oh my.
I challenge that. These guys have gotten creative.
There today. Yeah, the space that's there today is too small for community gardens, so that's the piece you can't see is the funding would actually go to like revise the landscape to create sufficient space for them to do raised bed.
Well,
You'd be surprised how much you can grow in a small space if you know how
guys,
to
I
design it and
I just say this, you know, and I'm all about fresh produce and stuff of this nature. But that's, but it's a maintenance, but it is a garden in itself, even in my house, is a chore. You gotta keep it weeded, watered, everything else in here maintained, and when stuff starts to die, it looks like crap. If you drive through the neighborhood, you see corn stalks that burnt, corn dead in here, or just the idea of things looking like more weeds growing up around it that haven't been maintained, and they're only seasonal. So if you're gonna do anything, you wanna advertise where these food gardens are, just make it, people wanna say, hey, you are the billboard for the community. And this is where you can go. You got enough churches in here, got enough space by them, that they can put a community garden in here rather than make your library the community garden.
I hear you.
I'm on the CHIP Food Access Work Group. I can make contacts with a lot of different food opportunities. So that we can,
Over there, you can take a load of people over
so
there.
that we can get word of mouth about our garden. Yeah.
But you don't want this to be the gathering spot for the produce and stuff. This is where you're.
I think part of the vision, I get the skepticism, it's not at scale to make a dent, but it's about exposure and access. I'm just telling you all this stuff. Part of what we intend to do as well when the remodel is done, there are a couple of communities in the master plan development that talked about really needing and wanting access to seeds, for example. So we plan to have seed lending as part of our inventory of services to be able to provide. So you can take it home and plant it, but it's just a small, it's an exposure and an access point. I think that your point about information and making that
That is your product. You need to stick with that product in your information, not so much the product.
well, it's about the experience and you're going to have a lot of different experiences at this space. If we are able to do some exterior work, what it creates is an outdoor programming space, which is exactly what the community has been asking for as well.
You want to use that for utilization spaces. I like the idea of the artists displaying their arts, but if you got that much space, then put a small little amphitheater where you got
That's
entertainment.
exactly what
They're gonna be out there, they can put on.
there's enough space to do that.
So I'd rather be able where they can make it a gathering spot.
That's exactly what it's creating with,
Does the Lonnie
it's in between.
Branch have its own little committee? Lonnie needs to be on that committee.
Yeah, he does.
You have,
Yeah, he does.
we also have, I want your contact information. I want to keep talking to you.
Yeah, he got-
You got it.
Okay.
Any of this?
I have one question.
Will you have a dedicated team space? Yeah, each of the, all of the branches going through remodel will have dedicated teen collection space. Angelo, because of the scale, does not have like a teen lounge specific.
Sorry, the other section. The other slide deck.
Oh, that is like that.
Did you want to see that? The
I
first
think
one?
we've got, we've actually managed to create a study room. That was just a brilliant use of space. We don't usually, we weren't expecting to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Where the staff area is down in the lower right, there's now a 2-person study room, so we can do some tutoring. I think we'll have laptops that can check out and go anywhere. I think right now there's probably like 2 tables that you can sit at. And so we've got study carrels, different seating, so you'll be able to take a device somewhere, be able to compute, and we'll have an early learning zone where it'll be a lot more family engagement from technology up there as well. But as far as like a teen room, the constraints just weren't able to be there, but we're making a lot of improvements that they're gonna enjoy.
My guess is that this will be their table.
Yeah.
They're gonna go to the back corner and that's what they're gonna take over.
And as Emily alluded to earlier, that program room, right now, they can't use it. They can't let people just go in there to study or have space, because they can't see in there. There's no security. With this addition of windows, you'll take a space that's already there and use it for study groups, they can use it for meeting groups, it'll be more useful, so it can create space like it's already there.
You think so?
Yeah.
Here.
The last little bit is any other opportunities for public engagement. Jamie, before I speak, I'm turning the boards are up. The board up. Yes. Okay, there are physical boards up in the library that have QR codes to go to web-based surveys, if you have any more thoughts. Those will also be shared on the public library social media pages. So if you go home and have some other thought after this, like if you go to the library branch or if you go to the Wichita Library social media, there are opportunities to continue to share those thoughts for a few more weeks while we finish up tonight. But thank you for the
Also,
conversation.
forums
This
and-
was it's super valuable, so I really appreciate it.
One last thing, we also have forums at the front desk where you can leave your feedback with us.
Okay,
Call me.
it's not digital, there's an analog option, there you go.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Alrighty, today is a little unique for me. So, the breakfast is 2 hours. Unfortunately though, Thursday, we lost one of our firefighters. There's a dignified transfer happening in 25 minutes, so I'm going to pay my respects there. So if you see me leave, you don't have to leave, but I'm going to do that. I don't know how long that will be. We will come back after that, but normally breakfast goes until 11:30. So I will be quick. I don't know if Darrell wanted to talk, but August 8th is a very important day. Next Thursday, 6 o'clock is our third evening council meeting. So when you get off work, you can come to the council meeting instead of trying to tune in at work. Most important item on the agenda is our budget. There are things that you care about or you like what you just saw. That is something to talk about at the meeting. If you have not seen the conversation that we are having as a council, there are some of us who do not feel we should take in the full allocation of the additional dollars over the revenue neutral rate, which this year was $12.4 million. If we don't take all of that in, we will face deeper cuts next year. So next year, we're looking at a $3.6 million deficit. If we don't take in the full 12.4 million this year, whatever we don't take, we can add that to next year, it'll be steeper. Those of us who feel like libraries, parks, and everything else is a part of crime prevention, providing opportunity, that's a meeting to speak up. Also, August 20th is when we finalize the budget. That'll be the day where if we actually take in the full 12.4 million or not. I have also raised, and I don't know what you think about it, but I wanted to start the dialogue that we raised the mill levy. We have not done it in 33 years. What that means is for every $100,000 of value in your house, you would pay an additional $11.50 per year. That would give us an additional $5 million as a city. So if you think about a $3.6 million deficit next year, we wouldn't have that. It would help maintain service levels. It would maintain what we see here. We could even work on more efficiencies and potentially expand some of these opportunities. Crime prevention is not just law enforcement. It's what else can we offer as a community? What other opportunities, what other things can we learn at a library? So it is important. If you have thoughts on our budget, if you haven't seen it, it is on our website, utah.gov. But if you have thoughts, next Thursday, August 8th, 6 o'clock, that's our council meeting. There'll be a short presentation over the budget, where we are, and all of that, and then council discussion. We want to hear from the public, and then again on August 20th, our regular council meeting at 9 a.m. Is when we will finalize the budget and we will know what going into next year looks like. I am going to intentionally keep talking about this mill levy over the next year. Actually, it's 33 years because we just set the same one this year. No one likes raising taxes. I own a house. I'm not happy with all the increased valuation that we have. It's jumped quite a bit in the last several years, but I know what that does for the city. I know that extra for us, $20 a year does to help out. I'm willing to pay. And probably will pay that extra 20 this year just to do it because it's worth it.
I'm willing to pay it too, absolutely. But some of our truly elderly folk who are still staying in their own homes, folks in their 80s and 90s, are they gonna be protected at all? Is there any way we can protect them?
Glad you said that. So on August 8th and August 20th, you should encourage us to continue our property tax relief program for seniors, which we funded last year, but it was a 1-year funding of it. So those who are on fixed income will qualify for the state homestead program. If we put more money into that, they benefit still. They won't have that additional burden. but, those of us who can't afford it, we can't. And again, when you think about it, I gave you dollars, you think about it, you go to pizza one time, it's basically that. So
More than that.
one pizza per year helps give us $5 million to maintain service levels, unless you get DiGiorno, that's $8.
I know you gotta go, and I know sometimes I can also belabor a conversation. But, and you said there was another space, there's another space and time to have this conversation, right? Or, okay, so, but since I'm not a homeowner, I really wanna be, haven't set my life up as I can be yet, I'm working on that. But I know that, when taxes increase, I'm a renter. And so I,
Pass it on.
they pass it on and not in $20 increments. You understand what I'm saying? So that's something to really consider.
Whole year, and that should be said. Again, I wanna start the conversation. If overall the general public says, Brandon, you're crazy, and you're the only one that supports it, and it's gonna cause too many problems. Right, I leave office in January 2026. I can leave happy to say, I know what type of government I was telling you was coming. I know what type of government we have, and it's up to you as a public, and then me at that. I won't be elected to try to encourage more services, try to encourage those who are elected to do some different things, but it's worth having that conversation over the next year and talking about that and looking at whatever other ideas we can have. Some of the stuff we can look at, and we've talked about grant funding, we've talked about, sounds like both the county and some council members are looking at a potential sales tax initiative. But the challenge with sales taxes, it has to be one-time infrastructure investments. If it's anything operational and then you have an actual recession, money goes down, you gotta lay people off of fire. If it's one-time infrastructure, then it's building things like expansions on libraries or new things, advanced learning library. The one thing Wichita knows about is Trust Bank Arena, right? There was no operation in that, but it was a one-time investment. But again, that's a conversation we need to continue to have. I've continued to say if we do a sales tax, it can't just be for downtown stuff. It has to be for what we're looking at in neighborhoods. There are whole neighborhoods without sidewalks. And while folks say that's our job, sidewalks are $1 million won't do a whole neighborhood for sidewalks. So we have to look at what the community wants, what we can add to that, as well as whatever we have downtown. So those are some important things.
The town hall meeting you had Tuesday, is that on this agenda? Is it, there gonna be a recap of that? About being able to, the city have purchasing, and I missed that. Are you gonna talk about that today?
We had two people there for that.
Oh.
I don't know if you were at the last breakfast that Sarah came to, but it really was kind of more of that.
I wasn't, and I slept the Tuesday meeting, I couldn't come, but I looked at my, cause you come across my Facebook. I'm like, oh darn, I missed the town
So
hall.
they are, I think they're doing those all over the city.
They're doing another one, okay. Cause that would be a great path to home ownership for people.
And I have some of the highlights from that presentation. I can share that in the newsletter. And,
Yeah.
and then Brandon will also be here, Dad, on Monday at respect his time, 10:45, work that out.
Yeah.
So I come back on Monday and hear.
Yes, Monday, 6 o'clock, we have the dad meeting. And so he'll be here, and then also Dad will be here, so you can have questions for the dad board.
Technically, I won't be here.
Or technically, he won't be here.
I'm gonna say hello.
Oh,
Yeah.
somebody to be here.
Yeah, that would be me Monday here. And the second, that's-
Right, I'm back in the neighborhood after being gone for 2 years, so I gotta, get back in that rhythm.
And I can share you the housing slides.
Okay.
So my last thing, this may cost money, but I'm fighting it. Here in the next 2 months, all the housing work I've been telling you about will be, given to council to vote on. What that looks like is adding black mold to our code, so for all of you who have seen those disgusting places I've been in, we will be adding that. We're looking at increased enforcement. I'm still pushing for, having property owners or managers pay for the relocation of people who have to live through that while they get it fixed. I know that's a lot. gonna get pushback, it's the right thing to do. So we are gonna do that. We are also gonna look forward to putting out a source of income discrimination ordinance. So we have property owners and landlords discriminating against folks who have housing choice vouchers. Lawrence passed it. They also won in court. We're gonna push that forward too. So that's coming up. And then all of the housing ordinance is gonna be pretty technical because we worked for about a year and a half on that, just looking through all the different issues that we have. I do wanna remind people, we do have a retaliatory eviction ordinance on the books. And just so we can share that information, it doesn't work as quick as it should. In the perfect world, it would work for that 3-day eviction. It does not. So if somebody's being retaliated against for asking to get things repaired, we just had all this heat. I have many messages, people telling me their landlords aren't fixing ACs, making them suffer and if they get retaliated against for us showing up, it may take 30 to 60 days, just going through the process of getting with our attorneys, going through a mediation, showing all the evidence and documentation. But should they win, again, that penalty is up to $2,000. They can get those dollars, and again, that's one more step for them if they want to fight in other levels of court. So that's a municipal court judgment. But if they do want to go to civil court or even further, they will have a judgment on record from us. So that is out there. The email is retaliatoryevictions@wichita.gov. If you don't remember that, you can always email me, whatever, or have that person email me. I will connect them to that email and our city attorneys will reach out. But this year, we're gonna push forward on housing. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead over to Station 5, firefighters, Chief Snow. You all in the field here, say something. But if not,
Me too, because he keeps saying those. Yeah.
on September 7th is the next District 1 breakfast, first Saturday in September. Dante Martin will be here. We'll actually have breakfast. It didn't work out today. Books and Breakfast didn't have all the volunteers they needed for today, but they will next month. So they'll be there with the normal pancakes, eggs, and good stuff, and coffee. So hope y'all come back. But Darrell, I'll give it to you. Thank y'all for being here.
I know. I said, trying like put me in the spot.
I do.
Breakfast and just to hear. But as he said, I've been brought on,
Ron, I can't hear you.
can't hear me? Oh, man, I got a loud and powerful voice. I can stand right there.
All right.
But I have been brought on with a number of people from and in the community to a program or initiative called Cure Violence. Cure Violence is a city and community currently a city and community partnership to address the gun violence and the violence that is erupting in our streets and even in our schools, so all around in our community. CVG Cure Violence Global looks at violence in at an epidemic, like with an epidemiology scope, right? And so we are looking to address the issue the same way that you would address like a pandemic or an epidemic, right? So as he said, I am a violence interrupter. I've been brought on as a violence interrupter. So my job will be to create relationships so that I can interrupt and intervene on violence and interrupt transmission. And so And so, there will be on the south side or in Plainview and South City, and then here. I won't be here on the north end, I'll be on the south side. I did grow up here on the north side, but I really, I'm from Wichita.
Who's gonna be here?
There will be, this wasn't supposed to happen, so, that's why they're not here with me. But there will be some young men and women who, again, are in and from and around this community. When you see them, you will know them, like you'll know their faces, you'll know them, you know who they are. There's probably some of your, friends or colleagues, grandchildren or children or something like that. I promise you, you will know them. 1 second. Again, I think that this is a great and beautiful initiative, a beautiful thing, because it is putting the issue and the work of the issue in the hands of the community, back in the hand. And we will be working in, I want to say the right word. So I'm not gonna say that. But what I'm saying is, we are not the police. We will not be here to police our community. But we will be in the community, in the trenches, again, to sit with people to try to change their path. So, and to that comment that you made, the reason why this is important is because when people are like so possessed with their anger and they don't know how to process that stuff, there was a drive-by shooting right behind the police station. So when you say like, it's they ain't gonna take it. When people are possessed with their whatever it is that's going on with them, they don't care where they are and who they harm. You know what I'm saying? So this is, again, somebody who can connect with some of the young folks and older people. Our demographic is 13 to 30, and we will be reaching people who have the potential, high-risk individuals, right, who might have the potential to commit violence. Gun violence is really right now, and it has been growing again in Wichita. It's starting to feel like late 80s, early 90s around here. It's going down. So we're bringing this online. We really are. Yes. Sorry, right here first. Then there.
I just want to ask you, I know it's not your direct impetus, but I was just on this grants committee to get some money out, and they almost, I say they because I'm almost decided not to fund Colvin Elementary's after school support program.
Mm-hmm.
And it took some convincing by a couple of us to convince them that starting with elementary age kids and getting them motivated in different directions is preventive of gang access, gang participation.
Absolutely.
So are some of your people maybe available to talk to us and help us? We gotta find some more money for next year, because I'm worried it's not gonna be there. And elementary is an important place to start looking at investing in what kids are looking for in life.
To address this issue and to address the issue of violence and gang violence in those neighborhoods, all of those types of programs and angles are absolutely needed and need funding. But the pure violent, like I would be happy to come and talk to some littles, but our objective and our goal is the ones who have the potential right now, not tomorrow, not when they become 13, like the ones who have the potential right now. A lot of and I'm glad that you brought that up, because a lot of times some of the reasons that they begin to commit is because we throw our hands up, right? They're not 5 to 10 or to 12 or whatever. And we get scared of them. We throw our hands up. and just let them run rap and just let them do what they wanna do. Let us, I'm saying them, let us do what we wanna do. And you can't be afraid of me. You know what I'm saying? You can't be afraid of the little black, and brown, and no matter what, the little folks that are running around here 13, 14, don't be afraid of me. Like, I need you too. I need somebody to come and sit me down and talk to me too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember when I was a little and my teachers thought I was cute. And then when I got big, they didn't want to talk to me so much. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's really an issue. But yes, it's needed. Absolutely. It's absolutely needed, and it absolutely is prevention. But what also is prevention for them is to get a hold of their brother, their cousin, their uncle, their nephew, or their uncle, or their,
Leading them that way.
right, that they look up to, that they have direct relationship with and who influences them.
I applaud that.
Right here, right here,
I'm
and then
sorry.
right here,
Sorry.
and then right, I promise. Yep.
I'll try to be quick. I have a proposition for you. I'm planning a program for spring 2025. It will be May the 23rd. It's gonna be a roundtable discussion around gun violence and what community healing looks like. I've already talked to Keena Charles. I reached out to Marquita,
Okay.
and they're both interested. I love your voice about this issue. I think that you are a great leader,
Thank you.
and I would love to have you on the panel.
Personally, yes, I'll do that. Now, as far as with or representing, I'm gonna wait to hear from Marquita and/or my project manager. But I can come as Darrell.
I'll give you my contact information.
Okay.
Okay, can I go before Lonnie? 'Cause I gotta go.
Okay. Yeah.
That was me. I didn't get your name, young man.
Darrell Gilmore, Durell, Darrell, not Daryl, Darrell.
No,
Yes.
He's been out here a long time in the trenches.
You wanna wait till after?
Yeah,
the
yeah,
lunch?
yeah.
You can come, I'll give your email.
And do you like to speak to church groups?
I can, I don't.
Probably need to be.
Lonnie, what's up?
So, hey, I agree, you're gonna have to meet them where they are, a lot of times in this places in here. So I guess my question is, it's kind of like mental illness. So, now finally, the one thing the police department did was they get ready to get a call to a disturbance in here. They tell you, it seems like it's a mental illness related issue that you convey that to them on the call. So that then they pair up with social workers, things, those people in here, those people go with the police to help diffuse and deal with the mental stuff. Police aren't trained to do it, but they do have people to go to do it. So they take them here. So I get that. You got a couple, not only police, but this thing here. So I'm not sure how you identify these groups or individuals who are potential problems. How do you get notified? Well, that group over there, this house over here, these people over here. How do you guys get notified where you might go have discussions with it? Or do you just, thing breaks out, you just get a call and say, can you go down there? And will the police let you do?
So we'll be building,
You got me, but I'm not sure.
we're online, I'm careful. We'll be building relationships in the communities that we are around and from. We will be able to identify, potential issues, and sometimes, just like you said, with the police, sometimes you don't know something happens until it happens. And then, so just like when a breakout happens, right? Sometimes you can't stop it before it happens, but you can stop the spread of it, right? So like I said, we look, Cure Violence looks at violence like a virus, right? It is a public health issue, right? And so sometimes you can't do anything right away, but you can come on the back end and stop the spread of it. And that's just the real of it and the unfortunate thing of it. But our hope in our work is to create relationships where we can identify where the issues are, where the problem is, and we can work to prevent or intervene before something happens.
You're gonna be the vaccine.
Yeah, absolutely. And the work should be in our hands. It should be in the hands of the community. It should be in the hands of the people who I can snatch my little cousin up and say, sit your butt down. Let me talk to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, because if we real with it, we know. So that's the thing though. The community, we already know who they are.
Yeah, but
We know who they are. We know where they come from. Some of us and their parents don't want to admit that it's my grandson. It's my relation. We know. So the work is on us. The work is on us. We got plenty of money and we got plenty of police, and it's still happening. So the work is on us to identify who they are and and then change our community norms of how we deal with conflict and how we deal with issues that arise so that we can see a decrease. We ain't gonna stop. Like we know that we are not, this ain't the Justice League. You know what I'm saying? This is real life. It's not gonna stop completely, but if we can dramatically decrease it, we can have some safe streets, we can have some peace, and people can use the library, use the parks, and understand that those are parts of change and intervention.
And this looks a little again like carrot and stick, and of course, the stick is the legal system. But are you looking at ways to offer something for desired behavior?
Talking about incentive?
Incentive.
Okay.
And I can offer a couple, by the way, we'll talk.
One big incentive to be free. I've been locked up before. And one big incentive is my freedom. But I can't answer that question. I don't really know.
Okay, I wanna share with you, I teach flight ground school.
Okay.
And sometimes you can motivate folks, you wanna learn to fly? And there are ways to get into that, for example.
Right.
Just one example.
Right.
Then if you don't mind me interjecting, well, they're gonna office out of Atwater, so he's one of the violence interrupters. There's 3 parts to it. After that is the outreach worker. So he'll be partnered with the outreach worker that'll probably be stationed in here. And so he's called to whatever the issue is, right? And I know you guys are thinking like, oh, that's not really stopping the violence. He's stopping retaliation. That's how the violence continues to spread. Oh, you got my homeboy. Oh, I'm gonna go get your homeboy. And then, oh, he's so he's stopping that domino effect from continuing. So with the outreach worker, they're pairing him with school options. That's why I have WSU Tech in here now. Even trade options, or if they're younger than that, getting them back into school, because a lot of these kids aren't going to middle school, aren't going to high school. They're enrolled in class, they're supposed to be going, but they're not going. So that's getting them back in school, or GED, or just finding out what their interests are. And somebody from the community that looks like them comes from a place like them, because a lot of times outside sources of people, they do want to help, they have good intentions, but you don't understand the things that they're going through, things that you can talk about or relate to them. So having somebody who's been through that stuff, who understands that process, and like you said, being locked up, a lot of people can talk about, oh, I don't want you to go that path. Somebody who's actually been down that path can tell you, I can tell you what it's like. So if you really continue to do this, I can tell you what's really going to happen. So him being partnered here with the outreach work is really going to really stop a lot of this violence. So I'm really looking forward to him and exactly seeing all of what they're going to do in the community.
So to address your point, the initiative is a wraparound. We will be connected to. We will be, like I said, there will be an outreach worker who will be connected them to services, mental health services, and all of that. We're looking at the full scope of this public health issue and what drives the person to commit such crime.
And I think you alluded to it, both of you guys are here. I'm looking at how the network system work. Violence jumps off. How are you contacted?
So they have a relationship with the hospital. So I didn't mean to steal your spotlight, brother.
No, go ahead.
But they
I was put on this.
I haven't seen the meeting, is the only reason I know this, but they have a relationship with the hospital, so if, say, somebody comes in with a gunshot wound and everything, right? They're contacted just like WPD's contacted, so they get a little bit of the information behind the scenes. They don't work with WPD, they are, again, their own entity, they're trying to stop the violence, they're not trying to sway anybody, anything, all they're worried about is the person who was affected and stopping any violence from spreading. So they have a relationship with hospitals, they have a relationship with, and also a lot of these people come from the community, so they kind of know when something's gonna happen or something's been talked about, so there's a lot of people in the community working.
And kind of to your example in here, this guy comes in saying to gunshot. Here, gunshot wound, well, more likely in here, the police are gonna be contacted here because it is a gunshot wound. If they didn't themselves bring them in there, they'll be contacted. Now, is the hospital gonna contact your organization in here to say, hey, that there's a
Yes.
possibility? And what criteria? Because, you know, sometimes it's domestic stuff that goes off in here, sometimes it's gang, but it's a lot of things that bring you in there, but what triggers them to bring him in?
Usually it meets that criteria of the age range that they're looking for, so 13 to 30, young male or young lady who's been known in that community, so that's usually if they're in that criteria.
So you have I guess you're gonna need, to me, you also need a measurement system if you're being successful in doing this thing.
Yeah, and then I'll pass to you. So
I didn't-
Cure Violence is a program that was initiated 20 years ago. CVG is Cure Violence Global. It is all over the world. And so it has been effective. It's been effective in places like New York. It's been effective in places like Uganda. It's been effective in China. It's been effective in Chicago. In New York, they brought the crime rate down 75%. The gun violence down 75% by having people who are from the places where the violence was happening interact with other people who have the potential to commit those violence. We always believe that you need someone who's up there at WSU or KU or some Ivy League who studied human behavior to come down and figure out how to, because they need credentials and certifications. And I'm telling you, we've been doing that I'm 37. We've been doing that for as long as I've been alive, and it ain't stopped. You know what I'm saying? So bringing something like this online is an addition. I'm not saying that that's not helpful. What I'm saying is it is an addition to begin to redirect our youth and the people who are committing these crimes and to stop the transmission. And it's not gonna happen overnight. And there's training that will be put, like, we ain't just saying, because you from the hood, go at it. No, we are being trained and to understand this model and how it works and how to implement it. This ain't a crapshoot. Like, this ain't something that somebody just was like, oh, it's going, you know what I'm saying? So I promise you that we will be trained up and we will be, whatever certification we need or whatever certification we believe we need to have, we will go after and get so we can be as effective as we possibly can.
And then Parker, you have a question?
Yes, I just wanted to add to your question. Okay, so gun violence is trauma. I know that this is a big part of Keener Childhood Mission at Violence Impact, but advocacy. What role of advocacy is going to be played in hospitals for gun violence victims, things like that? Because the medical professions are very hard to navigate, and you're shot, you're already in a state of trauma. It's a very unpleasant experience when you go into an emergency room or when you're dealing with an EMT and they're making it harder because they're being unpleasant or they're taking forever to give you treatment or microaggressions, things like that. So I just wanted to know what sort of advocacy services were envisioned.
For the hospital.
Yes, for hospitals, for any number of situations the victims would encounter.
And I think he's on the right path in here, not only for the hospital to be advocates for them, but you also want, when I say about a measurement, I want you to be successful in what you're doing out here as well. So when I say that, we can talk about the high levels of different cities and stuff, But you said some things earlier that really were important in here. These things, most time they start at home. Parents know who their kids are, their behavior and this stuff. Your neighbors down the street, next door, they know who they are. But there's an innate fear of retaliation. There's an innate fear of, I'm not gonna get involved, and ain't my kid in here. But you have to be able to collect measurable data to show.
So this is all
your
data
vote.
driven. This is highly data driven.
I wanna know that you didn't help my friend or my cousin over in the next block. I'm just saying, but how do those people get communicated? How does the hospital know that?
This is highly data, it's highly data driven, has to be, like you said, so you know that there is actually success happening. And there's training, we will be trained in how to advocate and intervene at the hospitals and all of that. Brandon put me on the spot, and probably shouldn't have.
You can answer your question a little bit. The program director, they do have a relationship with the hospitals. I'm not sure to what they have in place. I don't wanna lie. I do know that they have an individual who is a liaison between the hospitals and this. So I'm sure that they're giving staff a little bit of training. I don't wanna answer it like I know, but from the meetings I've had, I'm pretty sure that person has advocacy work going in there. So. With that, do
Yeah.
you have any more questions for him?
Yeah, any more questions or comments or?
Thank you for sharing, even on the spot.
I appreciate you all coming to the district breakfast. I don't have any updates. If you have any questions for me though, I'm willing to stay and answer anything you have, but we're all free to go.
Snap all of that. I'm sorry, I came a little late.
The ma-
Yeah, what was this supposed to?
I came from David.
Okay. You wanna give some, what is this about?
Yeah.